Welcome back. Well, quite a change for a former governor of Michigan. Spent a lot of time in the academic world, then spent a lot of time on CNN holding forth as a commentator, but now moving into the Biden administration. Jennifer Granholm is the new Secretary of Energy, and the former governor, I guess now it's Madam Secretary. Good to have you back on Flashpoint, a program you spent a lot of time on.
I know. I'm glad to be back in this new role, and it's great to see you, Devin.
Well, really good to have you back. Let me start with what happened this past week. I know for the administration, I know you're awfully excited that President Biden has his first legislative victory. It went through, though, against what he sort of, and I think a lot of Democrats hoped that they would be able to do, even though they had a majority, couldn't get anybody from the other side to go along. So it ends up being sort of a one-party push through. Is that good government?
Well, I think the outcome is certainly good government, that there is relief for real people all across the country. I mean, in Michigan, my goodness, you're going to get an influx of money for people. So $300 benefit increase for those who are on unemployment, $1,400 checks. Devin, I think the thing that's hasn't really been talked about much is the fact that people who are parents whose kids are under 7 will see a $300 a month benefit, and that's a tax credit, but you don't have to wait till you file your tax returns to get it. It will come for the next 6 months to help relief. So to me, and it's hugely popular, as you know. There's certainly bipartisan support across the country. You know, I'm new to Washington, so the Potomac fever is really still very high here, and I hope that there is a cure at some point. And I just worry that if there's not a cure for this bill that has such enormous bipartisan support, when will there be that cure? And I sure hope we get there.
We don't seem to have a vaccine in development for
I know, wouldn't that be great?
But I think part of the problem, I mean, it is unavoidable, isn't it? I mean, there are a lot of things in this bill that really don't have anything at all to do with COVID recovery. Isn't that fair?
I'm not sure. I mean, when you think about the money that's going to schools who have to get kids caught up.
Backfilling union pensions that have been long before coronavirus have been badly mismanaged and underwater. I mean, those kinds of things, it's kind of hard to make the case that was, especially given the amount of money in this bill. I think some people, especially a lot of Republicans, saying that it should have all been earmarked only for COVID.
Well, I mean, Devin, the vast majority of it is earmarked for COVID, but particularly earmarked to give relief to people who are in pain. And obviously, making sure that pensions are secure is not unrelated. Making sure that people have income during this time is related. So I think, and you know, for Michigan, particularly the unemployment benefit, the trust fund, I mean, that was getting very depleted. And so that you don't have to tax employers to be able to replenish that. Those things may not technically have to do with illness, but I would say they definitely have to do with making sure that the country is healing. And so I think it's a great victory for the nation. And it's not Democrat, Republican, it is for people.
Well, let's move into your new arena. And I want to start with one that is particularly keen right now in Michigan, and that's the issue over Line 5 in the Mackinac Straits. This is an issue with which you're pretty familiar. I know there's some things, parts of this portfolio that you're still learning, no doubt, but this one you know. And this past week, the Natural Resources Minister, this is reached now as well into Ottawa, said that this is not debatable, that this line has to stand and the energy that's flowing through it has to continue to do so for the welfare of Canada.
Yeah, obviously the Canadians feel very strongly about it. But if there's one thing I learned, Devin, when I was governor, I certainly didn't appreciate it if another governor who came before me comes back and comments on my decisions. And obviously, I'm not going to do that for Gretchen Whitmer.
It points out and perhaps frames, though, a better argument and debate that you will have to deal with, and that is the safe transmit and transportation of a fuel that, for all of our talk about wanting to be green, we are still going to be relying on fossil fuels for some time.
But here's the great thing about the Department of Energy, Devin, is that this is the technology place. This is the solutions place. And so for natural gas or oil or coal, the technology that's being researched in the 17 laboratories across, these are national labs, 70,000 people who are researching solutions. This is the solutions place. And so there is technology now that can be attached to the extraction of fossil fuels to make it carbon free. And so that to me is very exciting. Even the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said we can't get to the 2050 goal without some of these technologies, but those technologies will also allow for a transition and for us to have baseline power. So I'm very excited about that. Because the Department of Energy is such a technology place, I came and announced this week that Michigan got two $5 million almost grants, so $10 million from the Department of Energy's Advanced Research Projects Agency for making cars more efficient through technology, through connected and autonomous vehicle technology. And it's very exciting because it happened at Michigan Tech, way up in the UP, and it happened at a place in Ann Arbor, which wasn't even connected to U of M. But it's very exciting because Michigan continues to be on the forefront of vehicle technology that will help us get to that goal of net carbon zero by 2050.
I have more than a passing interest in it as somebody who is awaiting his electric Mustang that's been ordered.
I'm driving one now. It's so great. The Mach-E.
Yes, the Mach-E. You've of course the Energy Secretary would get one first. I love that. But
well,
what I'm trying
the department got it. I'm just I'm just a body in the back seat. But but I do have a Chevy Bolt, and this is my second Chevy Bolt, and after my second Chevy Volt, and I'm telling you, the electric vehicles, they are so good coming out of Michigan.
But like so many other things in our lives, it becomes one more thing that we have to plug in every day. The phones.
Better to plug it in than to have to go to a gas station.
I agree, but the demands on the grid are different. And so what do we do to make sure that all of this stuff that we're plugging in, from cars to phones, to iPads, to AirPods, on and on and on, are we ready for a new
this is a really important question, Devin, because of the electronics infusion and the need for storage, the need for energy. We've got to add hundreds of gigawatts of clean energy to the national grid. That means we have to add capacity to the grid, that the grid has to be resilient and it has to make sure it has enough capacity, but it also means huge job opportunities because we need to make that energy clean. And that means, the work that we started in Michigan back, 10, 15 years ago, will give more opportunity for job creation in the state. And that's very exciting too.
Last question, and this goes to what Bill Gates talks about in his new book, though, which is all about how quickly the world needs to get green. But he says that one of those bridge technologies that we have to begin to trust and develop further is nuclear technology. How do you feel about that?
I think that's right. I think, in fact, in the DOE labs, they are researching these small modular nuclear reactors. Nuclear energy is clean. And so we have to deal with the waste issue, and that's we've got to make sure that we do that well as well. Yucca Mountain was a waste depository, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the place, but that we have to continue to work on. But the technology itself is baseline technology that adds to reliability on the grid, and it is clean. So I think it is one of the solutions that we're going to continue to research and hopefully deploy.
I've only got about a million other topics to get to, but we're going to have to leave it there.
Kevin, so nice to see you. So
really great to have you back on the program again. I hope we'll talk again soon.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Former Governor Granholm, now Secretary of Energy for the U.S. We'll take a quick break. Back with more on Flashpoint right after this.